And what's going on? We are back with a special edition of Desi's Dream Wedding. I'm so happy to have one of my really good friends here, Miss Desi Williams. You may remember her from Survivor Heroes, Hustlers, something else. Heroes,
Healer. I was a healer.
Healer, Hustlers, Villains, Heroes, HHH, and the winner of CBS The Challenge USA Season 2, my good friend, Miss Desi Williams, or as we now should say, Miss Desi Laney. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm amazing. Every time I come on the Purple Pants podcast, I'm like, I want to do your intro. And I'm like, hello, everyone. It's another episode of the Purple Pants podcast. I'm your host, Price Isaiah.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm great. I'm great. I'm married. I had an incredible wedding. It literally was better than I even imagined it was going to be. Yeah, I just feel really, really lucky.
Yes. And, I happen to be some of the very select few people to attend this amazing and intimate wedding. And it was by far, well, one, it was my first destination wedding, right?
Really?
So, yes, I was so excited to go to. Now, I've been butchering the name for a long time, but let's see if I got it. Wakana.
Oh, God.
Oaxaca.
You got it.
Oaxaca, Mexico. And it was so beautiful. So I just had I really just want to get into it because I feel like the people want to know a dream wedding. How long were you guys planning this wedding?
We probably started planning. So I was filming the Challenge USA. I think we found our wedding planner either right before I left to film last year's season of the Challenge USA or right after. It's one or the other. Jeremy found her on the internet. So I'd say a little over a year, like just right over a year.
I want to say it was before you left for the challenge because I feel like before you left, you had gave Jeremy some homework. And so I remember a part of that homework was kind of like getting with the wedding planner. So that is...
And I think he didn't. I think he was like, I didn't meet with her while you were gone. I don't know why that's my Jeremy voice. That's my Jeremy voice.
He was too busy on the Reddits and the Twitter trying to track your progress on the challenge because the first season he wasn't that good at it and I had to show him some things. But yeah, what made you decide to go to Mexico for your wedding?
So we knew we had to have a destination wedding. So Jeremy's mom is like one of 7. My dad is one of 7. So that means a whole heap of cousins. Like before we even invite anybody who's not a cousin or an aunt or an uncle, like that's already like 50 people. So no shade, but like everybody can't come to the wedding, like especially not in Southern California. I don't know if you've ever like had somebody get married in Southern California. I mean, everywhere weddings are ridiculous, but in Southern California, it's like people are paying $100,000 just for a venue. Like it's stupid.
Wow.
So we knew we had to go somewhere. And for me, it was like, even if we got married in California, all of my family's on the East Coast and the South. So they would have had to travel regardless. So I was like, why don't we just go to Mexico? And Jeremy was like, okay, cool. And I was like, how about this place called Oaxaca? And he was like, have you been there before?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. But it looks cute on Instagram. And Jeremy's just like, an incredible human. He was like, sure. I was like, that's it. Like that was easy. So that's kind of how it happened.
I love it. So again, I'm going to just keep talking about this wedding because it was so amazing and just so beautiful. And there's just so many multitudes and layers that I want to get into. But I really just want to talk a little bit about your love story with Jeremy, right? Because I feel like, I know you have a lot of close friends in your life, but I feel like I was there when you first met Jeremy. I was there right before you went on the date. I remember the next day I called, was like, what's going on? And so talk us a little through the process of meeting Jeremy when you knew he was the one. What was it like?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, you were there. You were probably Jeremy's first fan. I will say that. From the beginning, you were like, I like Jeremy. And I was like, do we like Jeremy? I'm not sure yet. So we met on a dating app. I can't remember. Like, I wish one of us had screenshot like the initial message, the initial exchange, just because looking back and knowing Jeremy, I'm like, what did he say that
Right.
got got
Hey.
me going? But
Hey, how's it
honestly,
going?
yeah, I mean, like knowing if anybody knows Jeremy, like I don't know, how would you describe him? He's like very reserved until you know him.
Correct.
He's very
But
like to himself, very particular about things.
very observant,
Yeah, he's
funny, but like I use the term awkward because it's kind of like me. So it's like, yeah, I love Jeremy. I'm obsessed with him. And I feel like he gets me. So that's always a plus for me. And, every time I come to LA, there's a standing date that Jeremy and I guess Desi has to come and they have to take me out to dinner
I guess, right, if I'm available.
if you're
Um,
around.
so I don't know what the initial message was, but anyways, our first date, we went to this bar, and I tell him this all the time. It was literally like a bar in an alley. Like there's a main street here, and then there's a bar. Like I didn't even know it existed in the middle of this alley. So I'm like, where is this man taking me on date one? But date one went, I kind of, did it go well? I don't know. Date one felt like an interview, honestly. It was like I'd ask him a question, he would answer it, and I'd wait for him to ask me the question back. He wouldn't, so I'd just offer my answer, and then I'd ask the next question. So I often hear people talk about dates where they're like, it felt like an interview, I didn't enjoy myself. But when I reflected on all of his answers, like all of his answers were things that align with my values and like align with my morals. And so, yeah, like maybe he wasn't the greatest conversationalist on the first date, but like every question I asked, he had a great answer. And his answer was like, damn, like that's what I should be looking for in a mate. So that was date one. It was either date two or date three was where things started to go south with Jeremy. Do you know this story?
I kind of do, but I'm curious to hear it again because.
I'll tell an abbreviated story, an
Okay.
abbreviated version of it. But he was going out. He had been to brunch with some friends. He was like, hey, we're going to this bar to watch. I think it was like the NBA finals or something. So it must have been like June down the street. Do you want to come? And it was like less than a mile from my place. So I was like, sure. I'll meet you there. I didn't know they had gone to bottomless mimosas before that, but I showed up and it became blatantly obvious that everyone was tipsy except for me because I'm sober coming from Pilates class or something like that. So I get there. I think it's date two. Jeremy's introducing me to all of his friends, and he keeps introducing me to them as, I think it was Danielle. It was like another D name that was not my name. And every time he'd say it, I'd correct him, and I'd be like, that's not mine. Actually, my name's Desiree. Actually, I'm Desi. So I did that for probably an hour. And then the girl who ended up officiating our wedding, Deandra, stepped in. She was like the only woman there. And she like peeped me. She peeped what was going on. And she was like, I can't let Jeremy fumble this bag. So she came over to me. She bought me a shot. She was like, Jeremy's just tired. He's a doctor. He works all the time. Like, give him some slack. So had it not been for Deandra stepping in and saving the day, like literally, I would have never seen Jeremy ever again after that date. He was very apologetic the next day when he woke up and was sober. Took me out to dinner for my birthday a couple weeks later. Like he really redeemed himself, but date two was bad news.
I also love Deandra. I met her at your engagement bonfire. And what is so crazy about that, her and her now husband, I thought she was your friend.
Like that's how she was brought into the mix.
Just like, well, because I came into the bonfire hot. And I was ready to cut up. And her and her husband, they were amongst the people to cut up with me, and so we just had like such a good time. So in my head I just assumed that she was like your friend, but I love how like your friends have integrated to be like
our friends
are our friends, right? I was like trying to think of a word. So you meet, when did it become official? Because like boyfriend girlfriend status.
It was either August or September. These are dates that I know as a woman I should know, but like we never really knew. But Jeremy invited me to a wedding, and he was like, you're going to meet my parents at this wedding because it's like a long-term family friend. And the week before the wedding, he was like, it'd be really nice to like show up at the wedding with you as my girlfriend. Do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, ooh, do I want to be your girlfriend? And honestly, I was like on the fence at that point in time, but I just said yes because I was like, whatever, it doesn't work out, I'll just break up with him. Like, no big deal. So that was either August or September. We became official. And I don't know when it became like when I was like, I got to spend the rest of my life with this man. But Jeremy likes to say that 7 months in, I approached him, which
That is
does sound like
true.
something I would do. But about 7 months in, I approached him, was like, so are we like gonna get married, or are we just like dating for fun? He was like, we've known each other for 7 months. I still need to evaluate the situation, weigh the pros and
And
cons.
we need to go through some. We need to go through some adverse, and some conflict to see how we conflict resolution, and
All of the above. So I guess somewhere around the 7 month mark in, I was like, I could see myself spending the rest of my life with this man. Apparently, based upon the story Jeremy tells.
That is true, because I can confirm that I want to say around the 8-9 month. Like, I remember talking to you and you being like, well, I want to know if he's going to marry me or not. And I'd be like, well, girl, like, in the name of Tony Braxton, let it flow. Let it go, let it go, let it flow. But
I was like, I'm
nevertheless,
30. I ain't got no time for flowing. I need to know.
Desi, stop. You are beautiful, and please, you could be however old. But you guys decide to get married. Jeremy proposes.
3 years later.
3 years later, okay, you had to go through some trials. You had to go through some peaks, some valleys, some lows, and which it sounds funny, right? But also during your wedding, your vow ceremony, I thought was probably one of the most memorable parts in my mind of your wedding. And at first I thought it was your vows, because like your vows were very you. But I have to give it to Jeremy. I think Jeremy's vows really
Sick and tired of people saying that.
I was crying in my seat, because again, I feel like over these last 3 years, I got to know Jeremy, right? And so I think you look at Jeremy and you think one thing, and then you actually get to know him. And so I just felt like his vows were so I want to say like vulnerable, real. They touched me. Yours were amazing and great too. Yours were very Desi, very like, like, first of all, my friend always going to hit a home run. So it's like, okay, come on, friend. But just with Jeremy's, and it wasn't complicated. It was like very simple, although what was the word? Jeremy has a large
hyperbolic, because I've thrown it back at him a few times over these past couple of weeks. Like, you sure not being hyperbolic? Why did you say that?
But in those 3 years, you guys really did experience like some of the things that, maybe at that 7-month mark that you were asking about, like y'all hadn't experienced that. But in the 3 years, a pandemic, like life-changing events, you experience different things. And so it's like, maybe, well, clearly Jeremy was right. Another amazing part of the ceremony that I just, again, kind of touched me a lot is during the ceremony. Sorry, my computer is acting a little crazy. During the ceremony, Jeremy's father passed away. And so you guys wanted to pay tribute to Jeremy's father, which I just thought was so beautiful. I do know, like in weddings, sometimes they'll put flowers on the seat, and like, to remember a loved one that's not there. Like you guys had a picture frame up there of like Jeremy, his brother, and his father, and just the way that you guys paid honor and tribute to his dad was really, 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 really touching. And I think maybe at that moment is when the first tear started rolling down my eyes, because I felt like in that moment, like you could see Jeremy was like struggling with trying to hold it together. And then I could look at you and I could see that you were like squeezing his hand and basically saying like, we're in this together. Like, I got you during this moment. And I thought it was so beautiful. And I know how much Jeremy's dad meant to him. And so like, it really felt like his dad was there. And so I loved it. I thought it was just beautiful. And yeah, that's when the tears like really started flowing down my eyes, because it's like weddings are like bringing families together. And sometimes it's like, you reach moments in your life that like you wish some people were here, but they're not, but you still have to live your life and you still have to be happy, but you still can celebrate. Like it just was so beautiful.
Yeah. And that was, we went back and forth, like, how do we honor your dad? What do we do about your dad. And a lot of people do just put it in the seat, but then I'm like, nobody else sees it except for us. Like, it just doesn't feel as impactful. And the way Jeremy's dad passed was so like sudden. Like, he got COVID, he went to the hospital, he never came home. Like, it was during, you know, that period of COVID. So it was like nobody was prepared for him to no longer be here. And I will have to say that his dad was probably like one of my biggest fans. Like, the very first time I went to like Thanksgiving, his dad like immediately was like, "Oh, you're hanging with me. I'm going to give you the good red wine. Like, we have a special stash right here that just you and me are going to share." So like, that was my dude. So it was important for us to like really make it apparent that like he was missed and he should have been there, had it not been for a global pandemic.
Right. But he was there, and that's like the beautiful thing about weddings and like taking time to remember people. And so it was just beautiful. Another thing that I have to say about your wedding that I don't know why, like, I was shocked about, but not shocked, was I was loving the fact that the way your family was loving me, right? Like, I have met some of your family, like your mom, your dad, your sister, but I was just shocked at like going around and meeting aunts. Like, okay, so also let's talk about it. So we're in Oaxaca, Mexico, right? Beautiful, beautiful, small little town. And Desi had a destination wedding, and she provided us with, like, first of all, Desi on this email chain, months and months and months and months and months, was like, "Y'all MFs better book y'all F because I'm not playing with y'all. Love Jeremy and Desi.
Yeah, much love. Can't wait to see you."
We're 4 months out. The hotels are not booked. I'm not playing. See y'all soon, Jeremy, Desi. So I loved all of these reminders, but two things that I thought that was like so much fun that you did or planned for the wedding was like, you know, you did a WhatsApp group chat. And I loved it.
Jeremy's idea. That was Jeremy.
And mind you,
take credit for that.
First of all, okay, all the things that I love, Jeremy. So, but I loved it. One, I'm not a group chat person, right? Sometimes I'm like, I'd be like, I don't want to text a group chat, whatever. But I was like, you know what? For this very reason, I'm going to get up in the group chat. I'm not going to say nothing, but I loved the sense of community that it was created. People saying, "Hey, I'm going to lunch here. Hey, I'm doing this. Hey, where you at? Here, here, here." So I was like, you know, but let me just take a little photo. Send it in like, "Hola," just to act like I'm participating. And so you could kind of like on WhatsApp, you could see all the people that are like in the group chat. So I'm just telling you this because I have another story to go after it. But I just start looking at the people and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Mental clock of the people in the wedding." So back to my story of your family where we're in Mexico. And what I loved is a small little town. So there's so many restaurants, so many places. And so like, as we're exploring, Jeremy recommended to go see this like 1,000-year-old tree. That's like an hour drive out. That was the first thing I did. Cause I was like, I want to do something, say I did something, boom. So we come back, we're walking in the town and I instantly just start seeing Black people. Now, I don't know if they was with your wedding or not, but it was my duty while I was in Mexico to speak to every Black person that I saw. And 90% of them was at the wedding.
Right. I'm like, I don't know why else they would be there.
But I loved it though. Like I like, you know, going abroad, you know, sometimes they say Black people don't travel, but we really do travel. But it was just so interesting to just see so many like Black people. You don't really know them, but it's like, hey, we're here. But at one point in time, I'm walking in the street because, you know, I'm haggling down a price because I left my watch at home. So I need to get a watch. And then I only wanted to spend 50 pesos on a watch because I just need to look. Listen,
not a $3 watch.
Okay, and mind you, guess what? Ask me, did I get a 50 peso watch?
Okay, then.
So I was on a mission. I was haggling. Some people was not even having it with me, but some people were, and then so I didn't like to watch it. So anyway, I'm in the midst of haggling to get a watch, and I hear somebody go, "Bryce." I'm like, who? And it's your aunt. And she's like, "I've been dying to meet you." And I was like, hello. It
Who
just
are
was.
You? Oh, Auntie Marjorie.
So, and she was like, you know, I done lost 30 pounds. Desi said I had to, you know, get all up in this, my wedding dress. And Auntie Marjorie looked amazing.
She did
But
look amazing. And don't let her tell you that I fat shamed her, because I did not. They decided to lose the weight, and I'm proud of them.
That's what she said. Then the night before the wedding, the night before the wedding, we had a welcome party.
Whew, boy, did we have a
Whew.
welcome party.
Baby. First of all, so beautiful. First of all, Desi mom is sitting at the table, like, with all her aunties and family. I just walk over. I say, hey, Miss Janet, the way your mom jumped up was like, bro. I was like, oh. And the way your dad, Desi's dad, is like cool, calm, collective, but he cuts up. Desi's dad cuts up. And mind you, I cut up too. And so I'm always nervous. I'm like, is Desi dad going to remember me and how we cut up? And so he's like standing off to the side. And I walk by. He like, come here. I was like,
this could go anywhere.
My dad, I was like, hey, Mr. Williams. He said, you having a good time? I said, I'm having a good time so far. He said, okay. He said, you want me to get us a shot? I said, Mr. Williams. He said they on me. I said, all right. But
because we had already paid for the liquor, but yeah, cool.
Listen, let Mr. Williams have it, okay?
Right.
And so I didn't know what I was in store for at this welcome party, because it's like, cool, you seen all these fun people. I walked because I wanted to be up in the streets. But baby, the way it was an open bar, and they had some curated drinks that were super cute, but it wasn't the drink, y'all. It was the special bartenders walking around with shots of mezcal tequila. And you don't want to be rude. Mezcal. So, child, I'm with Justine, Chanel, Adele, my best friend Dara. They come around, we take the first shot. Before we put the glasses down, they're like, more? We like, oh. And mind you, the shots are...
It's a little tiny glass. Y'all was throwing them. Y'all were throwing them back?
Girl, listen, I was going to take everything in. First of all, you clearly were throwing them back, because when I walked in and saw you, I said, oh, my girl she's on.
That was probably the drunk. Well, so the night before we had a mezcal tasting. By the end of that, I don't even remember going to bed. Welcome cocktail, same thing. I was like, when did this happen to me? When did I get here?
It's funny because he would have had to been with one of Jeremy's friends. I can't remember his name, but I want to say at the welcome party, I could tell that he got in on Thursday and went to the mezcal tasting, because when we were taking a shot, he was like, the agave that they use is 25. I said, oh, you came in on Thursday. He was like, how you know? I said, because the way that you're talking about agave and tequila,
you're educated.
It's giving you just found this information. But the welcome party, beautiful. Amazing. Turned up. You guys
very turned up. So here's the thing about the welcome cocktail.
Okay.
Well, one, and maybe this should have been explained. So in Oaxaca, they don't really take the mezcal as a shot. You're supposed to they say besitos, do little kisses of mezcal. You're supposed to sip it.
Okay.
So, but if you don't explain that to an American, they're like, oh, another shot. And yeah, so when we were planning the wedding, I kept asking our wedding planner, how many waiters are we going to have at this event? Because the worst thing to do is go to a wedding and you want to go get a drink, and then you have to wait in line at the bar for 10 minutes to get a drink. And then by the time you get a drink, your 3 songs have played, you done missed all the fun. You've missed out on all the conversations. So I kept asking all right, how many waiters? How many waiters? How many waiters? She kept telling me this will not be a problem. She was like, this will not be a problem. They will bring the drinks to your friends. Your friends don't ever have to go to the bar. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it until that welcome cocktail. And I was like, Lord, if I can't, you can't not have a drink in your hand. They will find you.
They absolutely will. But to me, I didn't even think it was that bad at the welcome party. And I mean that bad in the sense of, I'm saying that bad, but I really mean that good, right? I thought they were around, they could find you. I felt like they could sense out if you didn't have a glass in your hand. But when we get over to the reception, baby, they were on triple, quadruple, multiples. That staff was on point. Okay, on point. But anyway, listen, we still at the welcome party. So the welcome party, beautiful. You guys give a speech. Your mom gets up there, and it's just like, in this moment in my eyes, I'm like, oh my God, my friend is getting married.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so, what was it like for you at these moments when you're like speaking in front of your close family and friends? Were you feeling like, oh my God, this is really happening? Or were you already in it from everything in which that led up to you packing, getting there, all of the things?
I mean, in the moment at the welcome cocktail, I had just as many mezcals as everybody else. So I was like, let me just make sure these words that come out of my mouth are making sense right now. Like, let me not stutter or slur my words. But I feel like there are multiple moments throughout the weekend where I was just like, oh, all of my people are here. Like, when I say like I obviously we planned this wedding for a long time. I put a lot of thought into like a lot of little details, but there's just nothing that compares to the magnitude of like looking around and being like, oh my God, like all of these people came all the way to Oaxaca, because it's not that easy of a place to get to for a lot of
Okay.
travelers, like for us. Like it's still like all of it's still incredible to me. Like I mean, I obviously am posting back to back on Instagram about the wedding, and I will be for a while. So like,
Listen.
put on your seatbelt. But it is incredible. Like Oaxaca is kind of hard to get to do destination. We had 122 guests, people who had, I think out of all of those people, 2 of them had been to Oaxaca before. So it's just like everybody's taking a chance on a new adventure, like literally just to celebrate our love. And I think that's incredible. And I think it's apparent, like I feel like when I reflect on a lot of weddings, like I don't really like the wedding ceremony. I'm like, we sat through the ceremony. It came and
Right.
went. When is the open bar? But the number of people who commented on like our vows, our ceremony was just like, dang, like y'all are really locked into like our love. And that's, I don't know, it just feels like really good to know that people weren't there just for the party, though they came to party, but they also were there to be like, these two, like, we like this love story.
Yes. I have to agree. I think that everyone was so friendly, welcoming. It was like truly beautiful. I think when we got to the wedding, I felt like I saw you like upstairs taking photos. I was like, oh, look at Desi.
I know. I was like, you're not supposed to see me, but I need to get this shot.
Listen, you got to get it. And it was you walked out. First of all, let me just pull up this photo again. I thought I had another one, but like just the backdrop of this, it's like in a hotel, but how would you describe the structure? Because is it like a Spaniard style? It's like they have a courthouse that doesn't have a roof, but it's like a square. So I don't know what style you would actually call that.
I call it like, I always say colonial, but I don't know what to call it either. It's like, but it is a courtyard. And a lot of the, like even the hotel you stayed at had a courtyard.
Yeah.
So it's very common in Mexico to have like a big courtyard and then a lot of little rooms or even homes surrounding that courtyard. But we were nervous we wouldn't be able to get married here because of how many guests we had. They were like, it's a strict 122 person capacity. And we were like, well, we might have more than that, but we'll figure it out. But this was like perfect. It has this beautiful like stone clay backdrop that's also a fountain, which I didn't even know because the first time we went to Oaxaca, the fountain was not on. And then this time it was on, and I was like, oh no, y'all got to run that fountain during the ceremony. So like that black backdrop is also a fountain. Incredible. There's like vines growing out of the fountain. It's surrounded by like these huge
30-foot cactuses.
Yeah, maybe 30 foot. I don't know how to do height. Cactuses on all sides. Like it was just, everything was just incredible. It was better than I remembered it being when we visited Oaxaca. Like, yeah, once it was all together, it was like, wow, this is pretty spectacular. And it's all for me.
It is. Yes.
I mean,
it's all for you and Jeremy. Another thing that when you walk down the aisle with your dad, I could tell like y'all plant this little entrance where you emerged, and then Mr. Williams is supposed to pop out, but I could very clearly see Mr. Williams going to do what Mr. Williams going to do, and I just felt like y'all had a very Desi dad moment, even though it's supposed to be like perfect, and it was, but it was like just so your dad and you. And
my dad was worrying me sick back there. He was like, wait, so how long do I wait before I come out there? You need anything? You want me to take this tissue up there for you? I was like, Dad, like, No, just let me stand there. Give it 5 seconds. You can come stand next to me. Yeah. So we had a lot of, you could probably see there was a lot of dialogue even going on before we walked down the aisle. Where I was like, you're going too fast. Slow your roll.
And I just have to say, because I don't even think I told you this on our wedding recap phone conversation, but I was like telling my best friend that was there, I was like, look at Desi's walk down this aisle, because bitch, you was walking, okay? You were strutting. I said, look at my friends.
Whoo, child, it was a long time coming. Long time coming. But yes, that was my big, like, that was my biggest stressor probably leading up to my wedding day was, am I going to be able to wear heels down the aisle? And then I called the seamstress and she was like, well, we can't do your fitting unless you know exactly what shoes you're going to wear. And I was like, well, I don't know if I, like, literally broke down in tears on the phone. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to wear heels. Like, sobbing, crying. And she was like, okay, why don't we push your appointment back? So, like, all the stars aligned. She pushed my appointment back. She squeezed me in at the last minute. She cost way too much, but like it all worked out.
It all worked out.
I was able to wear my heels, but yeah, that was a stressful to get to that moment.
You were so I've been to several weddings, and you know, I tend to see that during weddings, brides will just look like straight down the aisle. They'll be nervous, they'll be crying. Not you. Like, I feel like Miss Pageant Desi came on out. You looked beautiful. You were making eye contact with your guests. You were smiling. I was just like, look at Desi delivering to the girls out here. And yeah, so just an amazing wedding. Your mom looked absolutely fabulous. The second I saw your mom walk down that aisle, I said, Desi picked that dress out for Miss Janet. Because I know Miss Janet would not pick something out like that for herself, but your mom looked amazing. Shout out to Miss Janet, who I know she's probably listening.
Yeah, hey, she's definitely going to listen. Yeah, I can't speak without her listening, and I love her for that.
But listen, and I also got to get to your mom, because you know, your mom robbed me of a fan at the wedding. But we'll get to that.
Oh, you mean like a temperature
listen,
fan?
I knew the wedding was going to be hot. Shout out to Desi and Jeremy for giving out these, wedding gifts to the fans. But I brought my electric fan because I already knew.
You came prepared, yeah.
Okay, and it was, I mean, it was hot, but then when you start dancing and moving, it was even hotter. Okay, everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe you brought the fan. I said, look, here you go, Miss Williams, hold it. I let her have it. I couldn't get it back. Okay.
Thank you for saving her from the heat. She don't do well in heat. That Miss Janet, she lives in air conditioning only.
It's a lot because it's hot. And listen, as she should. And so then we had a traditional Oaxaca. First of all, when I arrived to Oaxaca in my hotel, I went up to my rooftop and I heard this like a marching band. I'm like, oh, it's a parade. What's going on? I didn't know what was happening. Then the next day, as I was in town, I had seen another parade and I was like, oh. And of course, very Desi, Jeremy-esque in their itinerary. You know, they're telling us things that you should do. And they're like, you should walk with us over to the reception because it will be a walk you don't want to miss. And I'm like, that's very coded. And when I saw earlier in the day someone getting married, I was like, oh, this must be a tradition. And so we essentially have a parade. And
yes. Oh, that's our dip back down the aisle. Wait, you didn't want to highlight that photo?
Oh, well, I mean, so
you were kind of the star.
I mean, I don't know how I ended up in this official wedding photo, but you know, of them coming down. Okay. But also I didn't realize throwing flowers is an art.
I didn't realize either, because you could see that no flowers were actually being thrown in this moment. Like, where are my flowers?
The first hand of flowers I got, I threw, and I was confused as to how they propelled backwards. And so I was like, oh no, I got to get it right. And so if you can actually see me in this photo, I look so happy and joyous because those are my flowers in the air.
The 5 flower petals in the air. Well, thank you, Bryce. At least somebody got
figured
it right.
out the technique. Like, so beautiful. I don't know how I was perfectly placed in that photo to be in this shot. The Oaxacan gods were smiling on me, but you guys look so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then we get to this parade, and this parade is like a jam. First of all, the reception is only a block away. The walk was maybe 2 hours, but
That walk was a workout.
would you know it's 2 hours? No, because look at
It was
Desi's
not 2
hands.
hours.
Because when I walked back from the reception later that night from my hotel, I said, "Oh, it's only wah. Why take us
Around the
37 minutes to
corner.
get there?" But listen, it didn't matter if it was 2 hours or 37 minutes. If you look and see what's in Desi's hand, there are little sippy cups that, as we were walking in the Oaxacan tradition, whoa, you can't walk without having a sip of mezcal. And baby, I mean, it's just a party down the street.
Yeah. So that was like, we didn't tell anybody, but also I feel like people didn't know that it was for us initially. Like, do you feel like when you first walked out of the hotel, were you like, oh, this is for them? Because I feel like people were just like standing back, and I was like, y'all come be in this parade so we can get to walking. Like, people just stood there for like 10 minutes.
Because I think people were like waiting. It was a lot going on. But also for me, yes, because I walked out and I read the sign, Desi and Jeremy on the little balloon thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know if people knew that. But again, I had seen 3 parades in the 2 days that I had been there. So I knew I was ready. I had got my mezcal. And of course, I was with my girl Janet and Rory. Shout out to Rory.
Rourke? Like, who's Rory?
Girl, I was calling her Rory all.
And maybe she thought you just made like a cute nickname for her.
Okay, well, that's my nickname for Rorik. And we march to the wedding.
Now you've turned it to an HBCU.
Okay, sorry, because it was a little bit. It was giving a little bit of HBCU. It was
the
so
drummer
much
was
fun.
given HBCU. Yeah, I will say that. That little drummer boy, he couldn't have been more than 13 years old, but he was giving drum major.
I have videos of it all, like absolutely. And then we get into this beautiful reception, and it's like literally breathtaking. And I thought I had a photo of a table setting, but oh yeah, I have one. I mean, it's not even really doing it justice because this is like a video, but just the whole wedding reception gives like Oasis meets modern decor meets old decor meets sunset meets tropical vibes. We had cantaloupes cut in half on the table as decorations. It was just so beautiful.
And you know who chose that tablescape?
Does her name start with a J?
His name does.
Oh, Jeremy. Oh, okay. I thought it might have been Miss Janet.
No, that was Jeremy's doing. We went to the decorator. This man had put together all these like elaborate flower displays with like, what are those? Like a ton of birds of paradise. That's my birds of paradise symbol. Okay. And it was beautiful. But Jeremy was like, what if we just do like candles and succulents? And the man was like, so you don't want any of these flowers? And he was like, no, not really. Like, I just prefer it to be a little bit more simple and like not block anybody's view and people can talk to each other. And so the man rearranged things, and Jeremy was like, a little more, like, do you have more candles? What about like those black things over there? Can we use those black things over there? So this man put together this tablescape, and at the end he was like, you might have an eye for design, young man, in Spanish or whatever he was saying. You know, the wedding planner had to translate for us.
It looks amazing. It was beautiful. It was like and it's funny that you say that because I feel like it definitely had the perfect amount of like masculinity meets soft, meets subtle. It was beautiful. And the reception. Now, first of all, the wedding, amazing, beautiful. The reception looks amazing. It's beautiful. They're already starting. So there's a bar over there, but there's no need for a bar.
No need for a bar because your waiter is not going to let you go over there.
Your personal waiter for your table, okay? Because you have a waiter, then you had a drink person to take your drink like that. And first of all, shout out to my girl Rosa was her name. Okay. When I tell you Rosa took care of me and my friend Dara, Okay, I was like a little hot. She got me a tissue. She got me my drink. Like my
Oh,
girl Rosa,
wow.
she was on it. She was on it. And so the bridesmaids come out, they do their thing. But what set the show on the top of the top of the top. Now, first of all, let me just also say this, right? I've been to a lot of weddings, and I know for bride and grooms, or grooms and brides, or when people get married and they have a celebration, they want their reception to be fun, right? And sometimes when you go to reception, sometimes no shame to the bride or the groom or to anyone that's there, like the reception just ain't it, right? Like it could be the music, it could be the mix of people, and it's like that's the one thing that I kind of hate when you go to weddings and it's like everything's so great, but it's not giving. And so my one rule to myself was I'm going to have fun at Desi's reception. That was my one rule. And shout out to my girl Rosa for helping facilitate that. So we say that to say
there's a lot of facilitation of fun happening that night.
So the bridesmaids, they come out, they do their thing. Respectfully, I do feel like Jeremy and Desi should have came out next, because the groomsmen, when I tell you the groomsmen, first of all, they came out to Kendrick Lamar, They Not Like Us, and that also is like very on theme for groomsmen coming out to that. I didn't know that at the time.
I mean, they're also like all Cali dudes, you know what I mean? So like they've been rocking with Kendrick for a decade. They're not like new fans. Like Kendrick is their dude.
The way the groomsmen came out, why was my ass on the dance floor like I'm a groomsman? Because that's what the energy was giving. Okay.
The energy was giving on it. And after we were like, I was watching it happen, like, damn, we need a better song. But like at that point, we had already chosen a song to come out to. So I was just like, we just gotta follow them and appreciate the energy they just brought to this.
Jeremy and Desi came out.
The backstory is
okay, please.
The way the reception venue is set up. So we had all these calls with our wedding planners. I asked all the questions. Where do we enter from? Where did the groomsmen enter from? And I listened to the answers. Jeremy, however, was just present, apparently. So when he told his groomsmen about the entrance, he didn't tell them there was like a long slope they need to go down to then enter.
Wrap around.
Yeah, to wrap around. So they had no idea that that was happening. They had edited. They also have a DJ in their groups. They had a DJ edit down their music to like what they wanted it to be, not knowing they had 100 yards to walk in. So when the doors open for them to enter, they're like, oh crap, we're nowhere near the dance floor. So one of the groomsmen looks at everybody else and is like, run. So they have to sprint down, which, you know, anytime you come into something like going 100 miles per hour, like the energy is already elevated. So they sprint down that little ramp, come onto the dance floor, and like, there's no way you're not hyped, because it's also like the song of the summer at this point, right? The song of the year.
And it's funny because it's like them running kind of made us hype. And so it's like to hear that backstory, it so much makes sense, because they kind of walked out. And then I want to say the officiant's husband was the first one that ran. And then they all started running. We were like, They Not Like Us. Only. And then Desi and Jeremy came out and we like, all right, y'all, listen, what is y'all doing? But it was so beautiful because the groomsmen and the bridesmaids, they came from this one direction. Now, of course, you know, my ass in pursuit of, let me make sure I get my photos, but in my photos, before I get a little too loose, I go off and find a little side area. And I'm like, oh, this is a cute place to take a photo. I look to my left, I see Jeremy and Desi. I'm like, oh, that's where, because I don't know, did you see me at that time? Okay.
I don't know if I saw you.
Okay. I felt like we made eye contact, but I was like so nervous because, again, another part of my goal was like, I want to be out of Desi's. I just want to be a spectator and a guest. So I was like running from you. Don't ask me why. I'm weird.
Right? Like, I'm not going to bite the weekend of my wedding. But okay.
No, but I wanted to just like, because you know how we are as friends, like, girl, what you doing with that? Like, I just wanted to I really wanted to take in the love. And so y'all came from the side, the sparkler, and y'all do y'all dance, and it's just so beautiful. Why they doing they dance? Why my girl Rosa talk about it's a good shot? Okay, another round of shots at the table. Okay, so we just had 4 shots
and not a lick of dinner.
Not a lick of dinner. Then After that, then it's the food starts coming out. The presentation of the food was so beautiful and just,
Yeah.
yeah. And then
I mean,
after,
I
I mean,
knew this restaurant would kill dinner. Like, it's one of the better restaurants in. Like, I knew they were going to kill it, but the presentation, especially that soup,
mm,
the soup,
mm.
I was like, oh, I didn't know y'all were going to do it like this. Like, even when you're doing it as a mass service. And for me, I was like, yeah, this feels luxury. Just
Yeah,
like I
the
deserve.
soup, my salmon, the chicken. Because listen, we were sharing. We was because we was like we wanted to taste. Now, my only one regret is that like I didn't really get to taste the dessert because
Yeah. Too
by that
slivered.
time,
Right. Right. I
okay,
agree. I agree. That would be my one regret too. I think I took one bite of dessert and I was like, all right, enough
it's
of that.
time to go.
Yeah,
And again,
right.
I wanted to just make sure that I just had a good time. Like I wanted to make sure that I was meeting people, just just being my friendly, loving self and having so much fun. And I if the wedding couldn't get any more special to me, first of all, here's like a photo of me and
Oh,
Desi. You probably
oh.
can't see, but baby, I am drenched. Like
I mean, you look like you might be a little hot.
I am drenched.
But my setting spray is giving,
Yeah, no,
okay? Because
you are
that makeup is
delivering.
still.
So many people are like, "Do you want to take your jacket off?" No, I'm delivering a look here. Okay, then we got the costume, not the costume, the wedding change, another reception dress, with Jeremy, me, and again, I'm soaked, like literally, like it.
But everybody is at this point.
I mean, and that's what makes it so much more fun. That it's like
Yeah.
I can't be tripping that I'm hot. And also, if you could see in this photo, there is no fan in my hand because Miss
Miss
Janet
Janet has
Williams
taken it
has it, but
over.
that's my girl. Um, so a special part of the wedding for me, or one of my favorite parts, I feel like I told you the story already, but at this point, at the wedding, the reception's going on, and I'm like, I haven't even been to the bar. My girl Rosa won't even let me. I just want to see what the bar looks like. Like, let me just see what
Right.
the
Let me just
bar.
yeah, I just want to see what it
Right.
looks like. Yeah, yeah. Is it
So
cute?
I
Like,
go
what else they got
right.
back there?
How? Let me see what because I wanted to just explore everything. I go to the bar. And I am like, there's some groomsmen, there's some bridesmaids, there's some people that I've just met. I order a drink, even though I definitely didn't need one. I ordered me a drink. I'm waiting for it to come. We're talking. And then all of a sudden, and again, so the bar is like off to the side. And it's like almost like this rock little path that you have to kind of like walk past to get kind of to the where the seats are. I'm minding my business, just taking everything in. I jumped in a pool. I'm sweaty. I'm at the bar, just ordered a drink, meeting new people. And I just hear a beat. And I'm like, I couldn't hear that. I can't hear that beat in Oaxaca, Mexico.
Burr, burr.
Burnt, burnt. And I'm like, I know Desi is not playing with me right now. And I'm like, you're at her wedding. Don't act crazy. Just be cool. I've been going for a minute. When I tell you I take off running, I get to the dance floor. I'm out of breath. Then I just start performing. Like,
And
why
I'm like,
am I
you better perform. Like, the only reason we're playing this song, my guy, the only reason.
And then I'm
is
like,
for
why
you.
they start making a circle? Why are people treating me like I'm really performing? Okay.
Because you were. There was choreography. I mean, I thought you were doing a battle at one point. I was like, is somebody else about to step?
Girl, this is like, so I just don't remember. I remember like, I gotta get to the dance floor. And then I got to the dance floor and that was it. But I was like, not my girl has a million things to do with planning a wedding, but now she ensured that Lil Kim to Jump Off was on the playlist. I said, no, that's a real friend.
So the playlists were a big deal to me all weekend. Jeremy kept being like, I don't think the playlist is going to matter. I don't think the playlist is going to matter. When I tell you the playlist for me mattered for everything. I created a playlist for the rehearsal dinner. I created a playlist for the welcome cocktail reception. I created a playlist for like the pre-wedding drinks and cocktails. I don't even know if anybody heard that playlist. I don't even got played. Like we created probably 5 playlists for the reception. So like, this is what you're playing for the throwbacks. So it's time for like current music, play this. When it's time for electronic music, play this. Like a playlist for the hangover. I was like, if there is going to be a playlist for everything, because I'm not about to leave it up to Oaxacan chance that y'all gonna play something that I want to hear. Aww. Yeah. And so there was also a must playlist at the reception, and I put that on the must playlist because I was like, Bryce is coming, and he better do what he's supposed to do to this song. And you did. You did.
I made my way, and it was just such a beautiful wedding. I just know the night ended. I know that it was a time that was had. I know that I was in the shot line. I just like, there were just so many things that I was just like, what is happening? I'm not really sure.
Right. But I'm here for it. I'm going to participate.
But I am here for it all. It was just so amazing. Then the next day you had this hangover at this pool, which was like beautiful. And again, just luxury. And just for me, it was just like, just being in these spaces with just Black people, right? Like, I just have become in this era of my life where it's just like, I just appreciate Blackness so much. And just like, just being at that beautiful view and just like seeing all these people, which everyone, and it's just so funny because everyone's energy at the hangover, like the hangover did what it was supposed to do, right? Like the energy at the hangover was like, hey,
right, we made it. Right.
And so that was just so beautiful. And it was just like truly a beautiful experience. And I think the more and more I reflect on it, I just think about like just the details in the planning of the hotels, the things to recommend to people, the like having the hotels like somewhat in the center of the city, like to ensure that like we would be near the city, that you could see each other, just the little details that I just thought were so beautiful. And honestly, it was like by far, I've been to many weddings. I know a lot of prestigious people, but like this is by far the wedding of my life. I like called my mom that night prior, like, I don't think I'll be able to I can't give you this, but it was a beautiful wedding, Barb.
Oh, yeah, my mom very much was involved in the wedding process. Jeremy's mom wasn't at all. So after the wedding, we were like, did you enjoy yourself? She was like, she was like, it was like like, she still is like, it was like a movie. Like one thing would happen and then something else would happen. Everything was so beautiful. She was like, I feel like I'm in a movie right now. And like I said, it was better than I could have imagined. It was important for us. I guess when we knew people were coming to Oaxaca, it was like, I know we're asking a lot of people. So we need to give them a lot to do once they get there. We need to feel like their travel was worth their time. And I'm glad that people walked away feeling like it was worth whatever trials and tribulations and flights they had to take to get there. Like the party was going to be worth it by the time you got there. And the way people showed out, I think most people left feeling like their travel was worthwhile.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. My last part of the story is that, like, for me, this WhatsApp group, right, that I'm seeing these people, child, when I get little liquor in me, I'm walking up to people that I don't know, and I'm like, you're in the WhatsApp group.
Why? And they're like, yeah, I'm at the wedding. Like,
right. Like,
right. Everybody who's in the WhatsApp group is here.
And it's one of Jeremy's friends that like I didn't realize I was obsessed over. Not obsessed over, but like every night of every activity, I have a video of him. Like I was just making people, because you know, I wanted.
Who is this friend?
You said his name. I thought his name was AJ. I think it's Jonah. Jonah and his girlfriend. Jonah. Yeah, he's so nice because he was one of the first people that was like, you're in the WhatsApp group. And he was like, you wrote hola amigos. And he was like, my girlfriend was like, he's probably cool. So then they just became my content friends.
That's so cute.
Every time I saw them, I was like, all right, we got to get this content. And they would just like perform for me.
Aww. I love that.
Yeah.
So here's a backstory about Monica. So we've known, like, obviously Jeremy like used to sleep on Jonah's floor when he was pledging Alpha. Like that's how they became super close. So he's known Jonah forever. Jonah has also been dating Monica forever, but Jonah will come out and Monica's supposed to be there. And he'll be like, oh yeah, Monica decided not to come, to the point where Deandra, our officiant, was like, Monica doesn't exist. She was like, I've been dating Devin for 9 years. I've hung out with you a handful of times. You always say Monica's coming. And then Monica ain't there. So mezcal tasting night, Monica's supposed to come. Jonah comes, and Jonah's already slizzard, so I can see why Monica was like, I'm not going to be a part of this. But Monica did not come. And DeAndre was like, no, we done came all the way to Mexico. And I still haven't met this Monica. Like, she literally does not exist. You have an imaginary girlfriend. So the fact that you got all of that personality out of Monica, I'm sure she has it. Just none of us would know, because Monica has literally, in our head, been a fiction of Jonah's imagination for like 10 years. Because she never comes out.
Monica, my girl.
I love to hear it.
It's just so funny. It just crazy, these random connections. And so all in all, it was such a beautiful wedding. And I just thank you so much for making me a part of your forever moment. It's something I will cherish for the rest of my life. So beautiful. And again, thank you for sharing with us your experience. Any final words? Any give us for the single girlies out there, give us some inspiration, Desi.
Ooh, okay. I would say don't judge a book by its cover. Give love time to grow, because it can. But also, when somebody says or shows you who they are, believe it. Because I wasted a lot of time with a lot of men who would say one thing and do something else. But if the actions are not aligning with the words, like, don't try to make excuses for a man, because a man will do and what's the word I'm looking for? Pursue, like, when he's serious. And a woman, like, both ways. Like, if somebody is into something, it's going to be very apparent. You're not ever going to have to second guess it. So, yeah, give people a chance who you wouldn't normally give a chance. Because I almost didn't give Jeremy a chance. And look at us now. Wedding of the century.
Yes.
In wedded bliss.
Absolutely.
Living the best life. So, that's my advice. Oh, I love that photo.
Thank you so much for sharing. And hopefully, I'm sure I'll see you soon. But again, congratulations, Mrs. Laney. Please send our love to Mr. Laney. And, you know, this has been your Purple Pants Podcast, Desi's Dream Wedding.
Ooh, it's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh, it's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple Pants.